The class of '96 would like to thank the Gilroy School staff for always being there for us, to teach us the concept of subtraction, help us understand fractions, encourage our dreams, called our parents when we had good or bad news, gave your time so we could cram for our next exam, or gotten a transcript at the last minute. And when you've written our letters of recommendation, making the impossible deadlines we set. It's not just the teachers that we thank, but the secretaries and all of the other faculty that helped us make it through these past 13 years of school. Thank you for all that you have done. We will never forget you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the class of 1996, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker this evening. Mrs. Joan Martins is the teacher of English at Gilroy High School. She is a graduate of Whittier College, where she majored in English, minored in psychology and sociology. She has been a district mentor in writing and teaching strategies for reading and writing in grades K to 12. She was selected to help design the writing test for the state and has worked as a consultant for the state of California. She has taught summer school classes at the University of California at Santa Cruz. Her loves are teaching, literature, and creative writing. Mrs. Joan Martins was selected to speak this evening by the class of 1996.
Members of the board, Mr. Noonan, teachers and staff of Gilroy High School, family and friends, and graduates of the class of '96. This has been a year of adversity for all of our students, but particularly for our seniors. We have all had some hard times. We saw that senseless feuds didn't just take place in the literature we read, such as Romeo and Juliet or Huck Finn, but right here on our campus. At first, we held our hands over our mouths in disbelief at the stabbing. Then we shook our heads at the disrespect for life, at passions out of control. Then we craved the safety of community.
We finally realized we are not invincible, and for a long time, the fences and the defenses of policemen and yard supervisors reminded us of that every day. We have lost more than one person. We mourn the loss of Assistant Principal Richard Klekak and Special Education Teacher Ruth Krajewski, both to cancer. We lost one of our parents during a school function to a car accident, and one of our seniors, Noemi Chavez, to spinal meningitis. We honor and yet regret that future classes will no longer benefit from the experience of our veteran teachers who are retiring. Mr. Oliver. Ms. Goodrich. And our liaison clerk, Ms. Murphy. There are those of us who have dealt with personal demons of all kinds. The breakup of family, the misunderstandings between friends, the dissolution of relationships, the struggle with drugs, the fight to steer clear of pseudo-friends that drag us down and cut off our options, low self-esteem, feelings of suicide, feelings of failure. We sometimes have felt as if tragedy were contagious, as if the walls were closing in, as if things indeed were falling apart. Our students and staff have reacted as one might expect to adversity. Some of you fought, some of you were angry, and all of us adapted because we had to. We became a little more wary, a little less naive, and a lot more sad over the loss of our innocence. And it made us mature. It made us think about what was important to us. We were reminded that there are those who hurt and need our shoulders to cry on, our ears to listen, our strength to speak up when we see them trying to make the right choices. It reminded us that it is okay to ask for help and to look to the source of our love, family, friends, faith, with renewed gratefulness that they are there when we need to pull them to our hearts. It reminded us that we do not live in a cocoon, and that to remain ignorant of conflict, ignorant of the world outside of our direct experiences, would keep us at the mercy of the elements around us. In discussions in our classrooms, many of us reconsidered the meaning of respect, knowing it could not be demanded of us. It could not be elicited by fear, but it could only exist in the reciprocal willingness to listen to each other's informed opinions. At first, when I was given this honor to speak at graduation, I thought it was a sympathy vote on the part of the senior class because you knew of my current struggle with breast cancer. Then I started to think that what you were responding to was how a person handles adversity, something you, yourselves, have been facing this year. You have been studying me in the stages of my battle, have registered surprise when I shaved my head rather than waiting to lose my hair to chemotherapy, have been amused at the way I sported my flamboyant head wraps, and amazed at how frankly and openly I would talk about a life-threatening disease. You asked me why I continued to work, and I said to you, I love to teach. We all love to teach. Well, seniors, perhaps you perceive me as having courage in the face of adversity, but I want to tell you how much I admire your courage this year. You know, it takes guts to talk to someone who is struggling with a life-threatening disease. I will never forget those of you who came to see me at home to see how I was recuperating from surgery, or those of you who stuck your heads in my room to ask how I was doing, who wrote me notes of encouragement, put an arm around me at a rally or an assembly. I can understand how awkward it must have felt for some of you to approach me because you didn't know what to say to someone who was dealing with a serious problem. But you are capable of that courage. In these 4 years, you have been given opportunities to cultivate that courage. It takes courage to confront pain rather than to define yourself by it or use it as a limitation. It takes courage to confront your own prejudices, to acknowledge your own flaws in personality, and to actively work on them. It takes courage to tackle obstacles, not to take the easy way out or shy away from challenges that may push you to a new level of performance, but to evaluate your priorities and choose the difficult path because you know it will make you learn, because you know you are right in doing so. It takes courage to realize that ultimately it is not looks and money and popularity that matter, but rather your brain and your personality and the willingness to take an opportunity when it comes. Make every experience something from which you learn more about yourself or the world. It takes courage to lower one's pride, to pick the battles worth fighting, to negotiate, to agree to disagree instead of having to win. When you speak your own mind, regardless of peer pressure, when yours is not the popular opinion, when you oppose the status quo, question authority for a good reason, this is courage. It takes courage to think about and embrace those family and cultural values which give you your centering and to come to your own conclusions. It takes courage to look on life as an optimist instead of a pessimist, to go through life with purpose, to put the past in perspective and reset your goals. It takes courage to go beyond self to the bigger community, to accept responsibility not only for yourself, but for your community. To make the business of the world your business. Your business. It takes courage to listen to what quickens your pulse as an injustice and work to right it. To challenge oversights and ignorance. To put yourself and your beliefs on the line when you know it will take up your time, make you seem unpopular, or require you to step into a position of leadership. I've always told my creative writing students that the most interesting people are those who can tell a story, and the stories we like the best are those in which the characters or real-life persons are struggling against some adversity, who meet it with courage, and who learn something about themselves or the world in which they live in the process. Study those people who show courage, who dare to be agents of change, who meet challenges face to face. Find out what the cause is they are willing to fight for. Look at what bothers them and why. Ask yourself where you stand on their issues. Develop a conscious mind and awareness of your own feelings and what is happening around you. Make an effort to thoroughly examine and evaluate your beliefs, positions, actions. Take an active interest in the world. Be conversant with key issues. Become as informed as you possibly can. View problems and solutions from different perspectives. Live your life with a sense of care and justice, and work individually or in concert with others to bring about a fairer and more just society. And when you are called to the plate, step forward. Step forward with courage because you are informed, because you are educated. When I was home from surgery just a few days, one of my students came to visit me, and after he left, I was so touched that I wrote a poem that I call A Test of Courage. I'd like to read it to you in closing. A test of courage. It was more than bad news that brought you to my door. You knew I had cancer, but came searching to look in my eyes for something, to listen to the tone in my voice. You brought a silver balloon, a green plant, and your dad, a man so proud of his son he was speechless in your shadow. He shook my hand con respeto, and I saw then this was a crossing for you, standing on the edge of a question, uncertain how to ask, "How are you?" when you really wanted to know how strong my spirit was. I gave you the facts, like I had done in class when we argued issues, telling you, information is power, look at it all, while you took note of the inflections in my voice, the pauses, the single tear that fell unashamed when I said, very little is known about my foe. Then you smiled, and I smiled, remembering that in all the books we read, you only paid attention to characters who fought the good fight. And then, because there weren't words, I gave you the book I'd been saving for you. Seniors' true courage implies a kind of morality, and I don't mean the word morality to trigger associations with prudishness. I mean that courage requires a sense of principles and ethics, an educated response to a problem. I recently read a book by author Anne Lamott, author of Bird by Bird, Some Instructions on Writing in Life, and in it she talks about why we like to read about characters who have this quality of courage. She says, you may find some really good people beneath the packaging and posing, people whom we will like, whose company we will rejoice in. We like certain characters because they are good or decent. They internalize some decency in the world that makes them able to take a risk or make a sacrifice for someone else. They let us see that there is, in fact, some sort of moral compass still at work here, and that we too could travel by this compass if we so choose. I challenge you to choose this direction with courage. Thank you and buena suerte. Good luck, class of 1996.
thank you, Joan, for those kind words. I think you did an excellent job of describing this very special class of 1996. It's been an interesting 4 years, to say the least. They say that each class has a personality, and this certainly applies to the class of 96. You know, when we raise our children and they don't know how to tie their shoes, we're hoping to teach them quickly so we don't have to do that for them anymore. When they don't know how to bathe yet and we have to jump in the shower with them and scrub them down, we hope that they learn how to do that themselves, and we're anxious for them to get more and more independent. And then when they become teenagers and start thinking for themselves and you tell them they can't do something and they say, "I will too," then we wonder, you know, why the rush to get them to become adults when we try to hold them back. I'm glad that all of you are here to witness this event, because tomorrow I may call some of you and say, "Did your son really graduate? Or was that a dream?" You know, it's been a very difficult time, as Ms. Martins pointed out, a difficult time for our country, a difficult time for our community, and a difficult time for Gilroy High School. So the students that you see here, and there are much fewer than started back in 1992, we lost a lot of students. You know, they went on to auxiliary programs. Some of them didn't make it through graduation, at least on schedule. Hopefully they will. So the students that you see before you really weathered the storm and came through. It has been just as difficult for some of those students who just barely made it, difficult in a different way than for those students who spent long, endless hours trying to keep their GPA up and who were able to graduate with honors. And I'm proud of each of you. During the last 4 years, there have been students that I have relied on to do some of the extracurricular things that are characteristic of different classes during the different years. I'd like those students to stand because they deserve recognition. They were hardworking, and they provided the balance between academics and a lot of work and some of the fun stuff that creates memories, which are so important and that students experience going through a comprehensive high school. In the freshman year, President Janelle Walker, please stand. I'm sorry, Janelle Wheeler. I should know Janelle very, very well. I can't read my printing, Janelle, I'm sorry. Vice President Dutron Kabibu. Treasurer Jesse Hall. In the 10th grade, President Dutron Kabibu. Vice President Jesse Hall. Secretary Aubrey Obata. Treasurer Vanessa DeSico. In the 11th grade, President Jesse Hall. Vice President Leah Rogers. Treasurer Jasmine Sandoval. Secretary Jesselyn Sines. Senior year, President Janelle Wheeler. Vice President Aaron Fisher. Secretary Jenny Morelos. Treasurer Audrey Broom. Thank you very much. I'm proud of each of you. I wish you well. I plead with you to be careful tonight. You all have a very bright future ahead of you, whether you're choosing to go on to an institution of higher learning, a technical school, work, or whatever. But I suggest that you continue your education, you continue to read, you continue to gain information. Many of you have parents and relatives who are very wise and did not complete their education, and I hope that you will do the same, whether it's a formal education or on your own. With that, I'm very proud to present the class of 1996 to the principal of Gilroy High School, Ernie Zermano.
Superintendent of the Gilroy Unified School District. It is my pleasure and privilege to present to you the 1996 graduating class. These students have completed all requirements for graduation as set forth by the Gilroy Unified School District Board policy and by the state of California.
Mr. Zermano, members of the faculty, members of the Board of Education, ladies and gentlemen, by the authority vested in me by the State of California and by the Board of Trustees of the Gilroy Unified School District, it is my privilege to accept the graduating class of 1996. Ladies and gentlemen, you are now high school graduates. Please receive your diplomas.
Anthony Francis Basil. Audrey Eileen Brune. Rebecca Laura Contin. Vanessa Laura Besico. Melissa Ann Flores. Jennifer Lynette Garcia. Rebecca Aro. Jose Hernandez. Melanie Marasca. Genevieve Morelos. Jesselyn Elaine Sainz. Jesselyn Elaine Sainz. Aubrey Louise Obada. Brenda Odell. Lucio Ortiz. Daniel Victor Singletary. Jennifer Beth Swanson. Rachel Elizabeth Taggart. Christine Denise Tognoli. Nieves Yolanda Tapia. Amanda Noel Koch. Laura Villarreal. Aaron Thomas Fisher. Dutron Kabibu. Yanni Athanasi Bunros. Kanako Isuka. Jacob Aguilera Jr. Annie Ann Amberg. John Allen. Kristen Ariola. Richard Alanis. Jennifer Bukowski. Jose Alfaro. Ana Cristina Barrera. Nick Emilio. Dominga Barrios. Tim Andrade. Araceli Barron. Misael Aparicio. Sarah Beams. David Arioto. Jamie Bradshaw. Alfredo Arzola. Elizabeth Briones. Daniel Bearwald. Carolyn Busing. Aaron Bajazi. Nicole Bunton. Robert Barcelos. Priscilla Caballero. Jeff Betrez. Memory Caldwell. Stephen Eric Beams. Diane Lynn Cannon. Dennis Badola. Jenny Cansano. Jeremy Betancourt. Jennifer Caravelli. Seth Blankenship. Patricia Ann Carvajal. Timothy Bolden. Andrea Caris. Andrew Bollinger. Margarita Carillo. Brent Boyd. Adriana Castro. Dan Bragelli. Elena Flower. Roger Burnett. Melanie Ann Kaufman. Steve Camacho. Steve Camacho. Amber Nicole Colbaugh. Elizardo Camarillo. Tammy Marie Coleman. Braulio Canales. Iris Contreras. Jeffrey Paul Cardenas. Rosemary Crocco. Raymond Anthony Cardoza. Karina Cruz. William Carrero. Melanie Rose Cummings. Alex Castillo. Deborah Darling. George Mark Centeno. Shelley Kathleen Davis. Saul Cervantes. Allison Days. Craig Christensen. Cassandra Lee DeBold. Rodney Clore, Elena Delgado, William Culbertson, Catherine Alexandra DeSantis, Clyde Fernandez, Teresa Ann Detmer, Rafael Fernandez, Robertina Diaz, Douglas Richard Fick Jr., Starlene Dominguez, Sergio Luis Flores, Michelle Lynn Dufer, Jeffrey Fox, Janina Alaya, Greg Friedman, Melanie E. Esquivel, Joe Gamboa, Elena Pauline Fierro, Edward Joel Garcia, Nancy Ann Fierro, Jaime Garcia, Lorraine Yvette Flores, Jonathan Richard Garcia, Yesenia Flores, Joseph Garcia, Kelly Deanne Fullington, Jeffrey Golub, Elena Garcia, Joaquin Gomez, Evangelina Garcia, Anthony Gonzalez, Jennifer Annette Garcia, Spencer Gader, Lupe Garcia, Greg Brio, Victoria A. Garza, Lane R. Grover III,